Watch obsessives. I've been thinking about how embarrassing it is to be a watch obsessive. The other day, I was looking down at my watch and I thought that there was a scratch on the bracelet. And I was like, oh my God, my life is ruined. And then I look and my wrist hair had made its way through the links and was curving up over the bracelet. It looked like a scratch. And then I was, of course, greatly relieved. And this notion of being embarrassed over watches reminds me that as a watch obsessive, you go to places where other people just don't go. And if it's any consolation to you, John Mayer, the legendary guitarist, also famous for his love of watches, he says you are born to love watches. It's a syndrome, he says, which I guess is another word for a disease. Speaking of diseases, I sold about a couple months ago my Seiko Kinetic Diver, SUN019. It looks somewhat similar to my Orient Saturation Diver, has a deep dish look. This is close to 46 millimeters. The Seiko is close to 48. And I sold it just because it was driving me crazy, the idea that this kinetic energy has to constantly be fed or the battery will die. And I don't know how delusional I was or how obsessive compulsive I was getting with it, but I sold it because it was taking up too much wrist time away from my Seiko Tuna and my Orient Saturation Diver. And I start getting embarrassed because when you miss a watch that you sell, you feel like you have a hole in your soul and you need to fill it up. And but then if you buy a Kinetic and it's taking up wrist time, you're not wearing a couple of your early grails that got you out of saved you from the fashion watch industry, that leaves a hole in your soul too, because this tyrant, this Kinetic watch that's hogging up all your wrist time, is preventing you from wearing your other watches. So I started thinking these silly thoughts make me wonder, are we childish as watch obsessives? I have twin daughters. They're 5 years old, and they love My Little Pony, Rarity, Apple Dash or Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, Porky Pie, I don't know. And my daughters collect them. Guess who else collects things in this family? I don't want to talk about that. So they collect them, and I find out from my daughter Julia and my other daughter Natalie, they have a ranking system. They have a number 1, and a number 2, and a 3, and a 4, and so on. Oh, geez, who does that? And I started thinking, man, it's childish to be a watch obsessive, have a ranking system. My daughter Natalie, she's not as mature as her twin Julia, and she still is attached to her little ladybug blanket, which she calls baby. And she's always going, baby! And she goes to bed with it, and she clings it, to her. And, I started thinking, how many of you guys out there go to bed with your watch on? You sleep with your watch. Come on, you don't have to be ashamed. You can admit it. You do it, right? I mean, I don't do it now, but I did it in 2010 when I first fell in love with my first Seiko Black Monster. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to be ashamed of this. I'm just going to come out and tell you I have slept with a watch on before, and I believe many of you have too. So this childishness, I'm wondering how much it has to do with being a watch obsessive. Not all is bad for us watch obsessives. I think we're smart. My appraisal of watch obsessives, they tend to have above average IQs. We're highly focused, highly obsessive, highly intelligent people, I tend to believe. Though some of you out there on YouTube land don't seem particularly bright, but seem more the exception than the rule. But I just wanted to explore this childishness, this collecting and ranking and sleeping with your little teddy bear. I don't know. I think what I want to explore in my next video is the notion of getting a Swiss luxury watch. Ulysses wrote a comment on my blog that you'll never know if you were supposed to sell all your cheaper watches to get that Swiss luxury grail unless you do it. There's just no way of knowing. And I'm thinking, well, thanks, Ulysses. That's a $6,000 lesson that may go the right way or not. And it's something to think about. I probably have to explore that later in my next video. So anyways, that's it for today. I'm out.